videos we have learned about IDE, the different tags, HTML, head, um, the tag used to link a part of your document, or the break tag, the horizontal ruler tag, lists, unordered and ordered lists we have learned. So today we'll be learning about tables, how to create tables and how to style using tables. Nowadays tables are not used as much as it used to be earlier, because at that time there were not many styling tools available for us. Now we have CSS, so it has become very easy for us to style a page, but earlier it was not possible, and for that we had to use tables. So let us start with the same. So as you can see here, I have created a table. So how does this work? How does the table element work in HTML? So first of all, what I'll do, I'll just open up this bracket. So this is the code that we had already done. Now suppose I want to create a table. So what I do, I use a table tag. First is the table tag. So this is what we have here. If you can see this, we have a table tag. Inside the table tag we use table rows tr and table data td. So td is for the column and tr is for the rows. So how do we create it in HTML? In this, what happens is that we first create a row. So we first create one row. This is the row we create, and then we divide this row into columns. So we use td for that. So first we create a row and then we create columns. So for example, if we have to create a second row, so how do we do this? For this, what we will do, we'll create the first row. So for that we will use tr tag. After that, if we have to create 4 different columns, so we will use 4 td tags inside the tr tags. Similarly, we'll close this tr tag and then we'll move to the next row. Then we will again create the tr, that is the row, and then we will divide that row again into columns. So how do we do it? I'll just show you in the bracket tool. Now we have already created this. We have already used this table tag. Now inside this we will use the tr tag. Before that, I'll just open up the live preview for you so that it becomes easier for you. So we have this table tag. Inside this we will create the row tag first. So we create a tr. So we insert a tr tag. So this is for the first row. Now we have to divide this row into columns. Suppose I want 3 columns in this particular row. So what we use? We use 3 td tags. So we have created a row and we have divided that row into 3 columns. So right now you can't see anything here. Let me do one thing. Let me just put some names here. So suppose I write Google and then I write Yahoo. So it will be MSN, anything. Okay, now I save this thing and you see these names. Now these, if I highlight this, you can see there are small lines in between. So this is actually a table which doesn't have any border, because we haven't given any border to it, so you can't see the border, but it actually has a border. So this is actually a table. Now suppose I want to create another row just below it. Now as you cannot see any border in this particular output. Why? Because we haven't provided any border. So what I'll do, I'll just add a border to this table and I'll put it as 1. Suppose if I want to create the second row, so what I do, again I put a tr tag, and now I want to divide it into 3 columns again, so as to make it consistent throughout. So I make the td tag and I make 3 columns. See, I have saved it now, and you can see a very thin row that is created because we haven't put any number or any alphabet in here. What I'll do, I'll just mention something here. And if I save it now, see, we have another row. Now how we were giving style to it, suppose I want a home button or about button on the top of my web page, the way nowadays you can see home, about, and many other things that are available. So what we do in that case, I'll just create one table again at the very top. So before before this h1 tag, I insert a table tag. Inside this, I insert a tr tag, and within this I create 2 columns, td and td. Here I write about, and here I write courses. Now what we will do here, suppose if I save it, and now as we have already learned about links, so what we can do, we can actually insert a link here. So I'll just copy paste this. So suppose in about I want to go to this link, and as you can see, this thing turns red. So this means if a tag turns red, that means there is some problem with the tagging or with the elements. So what has happened, I have opened a tag but I haven't closed it. So what I do, I just close the a tag. Okay, I save it. Now see, it has got a hyperlink. So if I click it, it will redirect me to that particular page. Now I have created about, I have created courses. I can do the same thing here as well. I put a link and I close the a link, close the a tag. The next thing we want to do is that, suppose I have a name, I have the name of the particular web page. So suppose h1 is the heading of my web page. So let me put this as Harry Potter. Okay, so h1 is my heading. Now what do I want here is that I want a small image to come just before h1. So if I insert an image, so how to insert an image? In order to insert an image, we use a img tag, and then we put the source and we close it. Now if I want, suppose I want an image, so what I do, I'll just take a random image from the internet and we'll search for something. So I'll use this image and I'll paste it here. So this is the part, I paste it here. Now what I'll do, I'll just save it. And see, we have this, the image is coming, and then after that this header is appearing. So what I want these two to come side by side. This should act as a logo. Suppose this should act as a logo. So what we do in this case, because we do not have a style sheet, or we do not have CSS, so in that case what we do, we create a table for the same. Now in that scenario, I create a table, okay, and I create one row. In this row we'll have two columns, one to hold the image and one to hold the heading. So one row, and then we have two columns inside it. Okay, here we insert the image. And in the second one, we insert the heading. So I hope you can see what I am doing. I'm inserting it with the image tag or with the h1 tag. Why? Because this should have the properties of h1 inside the particular column. This should have the property as image inside this particular cell. So now if I save it and if I maximize this window, see, now these two are coming side by side, but the image size is big. Now what we can do, we can add attribute to this image. So what we do, we give some, maybe we give some height to this. Let the height be 10 px. Okay, this becomes very small. Let it be so I'll make it a little bit smaller. Okay, so the height becomes, and because this is an aspect ratio, so we did not have to change the width also, but if you want, you can actually change the width also. You can just write width and then you can mention the particular width for the same. So this is acting as a logo. Now if you want, let me reduce the size a little bit. Okay, so this looks like a logo and then the heading. Now what I'll do, I'll remove these h tags and I'll just keep the paragraph. Now see, this looks like a logo. This is the about and the courses section. This is the logo, this is the name, and this is some content in it. It looks how web pages used to look earlier before CSS came. This is how they used to style the page. So this was all about tables and image tag. Now one more thing, suppose I want these or maybe these to look like buttons. Now of course these buttons that we'll be making won't be functional. If we click on them, it will just redirect me to the link if I've provided some link, but it won't act like a submit button or anything like that. So suppose if I want to add a button to this, what I'll do, I'll just, let me make this as buttons first. So it's a simple tag, button is the tag that we use in order to create buttons. So in that case what we do, we just insert about inside the button tag and we save it. You see, we have a button here. Same goes with the courses one as well. So what we do, we create a, we put this courses term inside the button tags, and if I save it, we have another. Now because we have already provided a link to these, if I click it, it will take me to a, or it will redirect me to a particular website. But if I simply create buttons, it won't take me to that particular website. It will just give me null. So now we'll learn about forms. Forms is very interesting. You must have seen some websites where you are asked to give your name, your email ID, and some comments about the website. So we'll create something similar to that. How do we do that? So let us start by creating a form. So what we do, we use a form tag here, and inside this form tag we mention whatever our requirements are. So suppose I need a name, suppose I need a I need the email ID, okay, and comment. So we are getting it out one just side by side. So for that we'll use the break element later, but or else let us use the break element itself. Okay. So we have name, we have email ID, and we have comment. Now what I want the user to enter his or her name here, or the email ID and the comments. For that, what do we use? We use the tag which is called input. So this input tag goes right in front of this particular name. And what is the type of the input? That is how, what will be the way the person will be entering the value. So it should be a text, because name has to be a text. So we enter a text. Same goes for the email ID and the comment. So if I save it, we have the boxes. See, now I can write whatever I want to. Now next thing is that the person has to submit this particular these values. So for that, what we'll do, simple, we'll create a button like any other web page. We have a submit button. Looks good. Let me just put a break here as well. So we have a submit button, so we can write something and then we can click the submit button. But if we do so, nothing is going to happen, because we haven't created anything for this button. How this will act, what will be the action of this particular button, we haven't done any coding for that. So even if I click submit, it will just, like this page will just reload. So basically this is how form works. Now the last thing that we'll learn here is how to insert a YouTube video in your web page. Now for that, what we do, we go to the YouTube channel. Suppose, okay, this is the first thing I see here, so I'll just click it. Now if I right click on this particular video, what I get is copy embed code. I copy this embed code and then I just simply enter it. So you can see here there's a tag which is iframe. So this is the one which is used to insert the YouTube video. We have a width, that is, this is one of the attributes. This is the height of that particular video. Source is this particular website, this link. Frame border, that there is no border here, that is 0. Now suppose if I save it, and you can see here this particular video. It is as simple as that. So the next course will be CSS, and please be prepared for the same. Just go through the HTML videos. Put your code in the comment section so that even I can check if you were able to understand what has been taught to you, and I can help you understand it more if something has gone wrong. So this is all we have in HTML5 course. There are certain tags that are there which we'll be covering up in the CSS course. So please keep watching, and if you like this channel, please do not forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you.